So what we're going to be talking about today is how you might possibly use your relationships guide here, the guidebook that we put out. And I'm going to help us look at it with a situation. Okay, so it's a situation, and I'm going to help us take a peek. So to do that, I will be sharing my screen first. So let me pull that up. Here's my screen first. And what I'm going to talk about is how you do what you do matters, even with using this book. And I'm going to start by having us I'll be looking at 3 elements today, 3 sections. One of them is on self-awareness. The second one is on thinking about personality traits and preferences when we're interacting and forming relationships. And the third is on noticing and responding to gems and gem state changes. Now, to do that, however, I'm not going to do it in the order that I have listed. So, yes, we want to be self-aware, but classically, we are most interested in being self-aware after an interaction. Because it's hard to be real self-aware during an interaction. And before an interaction, if we thought we were going to have trouble, we might be interested in thinking about it. But it's classically after something that we want to go back and relook and see, wonder what impact I had on that situation. I mean, if we want to do some self-reflection about self-awareness. So the way I'm going to go about this is I'm going to start with personality traits. And to do that, I'm going to want us to recognize a tendency or a trait in somebody else, because we're classically a little bit better sometimes at noticing someone else. And so to do that, we're going to pick 2 variables, a how versus more of a why. So how versus why, and plan ahead versus live in the moment. So to do that, what you're going to turn to, there's 2 sets of pages, 22 and 23. So if you want to go ahead and pull your little guide out here, 22 and 23. So the first 2 options are how a person might do something or how they might prefer, and how a why person and what they might do. And we're mostly looking at the top level right now. We're going to be looking up there, may ask questions for clarification of what to do, or at least look at you like, what am I supposed to do? Might make or follow checklists or sequences, might like to do things that are familiar so they know how, might like to ask for an example or a demonstration, might become anxious when learning something new or different. Now, the why person, on the other hand, may want to know why something's happening before they try it, or they may just want to go ahead and get started rather than wait for instructions. They may get energized by doing something or trying something that's new and different. And they may like watching things happen and figuring it out. And they may need to believe there's value in what's being done before they'll commit to trying something. So they might either get going right away, or they might want a little bit more. Now, if we turn to 26, 27, I'm going to give you a few seconds to take a look at that. And I'll just let you look at it, because now what I'm going to do, pause, let you look at it, which means I have to shut up so you can look at it. Okay, so go ahead and look at the plan ahead versus the in the moment people. Okay. Give me sort of a visual cue when you've read it through enough that you feel like you could watch something, because we're looking at these 2 groups of variables, how versus why, and in the moment versus plan ahead. So just, Beth, if you can give me a high sign when it looks like, you got quite a few folks who are there. And chat people, you can chat. You don't have to be silent out there. You can chat, but you have to type. You have to use a sensory motor skill rather than a verbal linguistic skill here.
All right, looks like we've got a few people that are looking up and giving the thumbs. Great visuals, guys. You guys are awesome.
Okay, so earlier today, I had an opportunity to interact with 3 people. And so what I am going to do, and, it isn't the best video footage, I'll give you that, but, it was an opportunity to explore how you might use this guide. So what I'm going to have you do is watch the video with me. It's relatively short. And we'll pause after each human being's interaction with me. And we'll sort of take a look at how versus why. Do we see any evidence of how versus why? And a plan ahead versus in the moment kind of thing. Okay. So the first person we're going to take a look at, his name is Braden. All right. So here we go. Okay, Braden, I could use your help. Can you help me, please? Will you help me? Okay, we need to make rice socks. Okay, so we're going to do it. Here's a cup.
I got this cup.
You like that cup? Okay, and here's a sock. Okay, so
this Nana.
that is a jar. Can you take the lid off the jar? You may have, I'll hold your cup. There you go. Nice. You got it? And put the lid down. Oh, okay, excellent. Now, if you can set the jar down for a second, that's perfect. Okay, now let's put your cup here. Now, can you put the sock down in the cup? Way down there. Good, good. Okay, now, here, let me show you what we're going to do. Pull this sock so it goes over the edge of the cup. Oh, okay, now we're going to pull it down. Yeah, we don't need the top yet. Let's put the top over there. Okay, now look, we're going to pull it all the, oops, not that far, Tina. Yeah, right there. We're going to pull it. Now stick your fingers in. Does it go down in? Yeah, perfect. All right, now here's what we're going to do next. What's this stuff? Do you know what this is?
Peas.
It's rice. So he says peas, and I say rice. And he says it's rice. Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to get some rice. Okay, and now we're going to pour this rice down in here. Okay, you got it? Oh, perfect.
I'm putting it.
You're going to pat it down? Perfect. Okay, now we're going to pull the sock up really slow. Okay, you can put your other cup down. And pull the sock up really slow. Pull it up. Good, good, good. Perfect, perfect. Keep going. Keep going. Oh, you're doing a great job. Yeah, keep going. Up all the way. Oh, it's hard. Oops, let's get rid of that. There we go. Pull it up, pull it up, pull it up. Perfect. Ooh, look at that. What we got in there?
Rice.
All the rice is in there. Okay, look. Now we're going to tell you what, here, look at this. Ooh, let's tie a knot. Here, can you take, his hand is in the rice bowl, just so you know what he's doing. His hand is in the rice bowl, the one you can't see. Mm-hmm. Oops, you going to put some more in the cup? Okay, here we go. Nice. Yeah, put your hands, put them in there. There you go. Okay, here. Tell you what, pull this right there. Pull that part. Pull hard, pull hard. And we've got a knot. Now what have you got? Okay, we can't. Okay, here's the deal. Oh, you want to do some more? All right, Braden. You are super helpful. Can I get a high five? Can I get a high five? Good. And can I have that sock? Or are you going to take it with you? Okay, go take it and see if you could get somebody else to come and play with me. All right, so I'm going to pause there. How versus why, plan ahead versus live in the moment. What do we got? Anybody can give me a shout out what you're thinking my Braden friend is. Given the evidence in the book.
I'd say how and in the moment.
How and in the moment. So what was some of the, Sandra, I mean, it sounds decent to me. What were you using from the book here that might have helped you with the how part? What did you see?
It was more into what was going on rather than why it was being done. So the items that were being used, that was what he was engaging with.
Yeah. So when I said, take the lid off, Oh, he was all about that. Move the lid here. Yep, that was fine. Did he ever say why?
No.
Not a bit. Never asked why were we going to do that? Why are we going to do this? He was just, what's next? What's next? What's next? Kind of thing. And if he didn't want what I wanted, so then you said, live in the moment. What made you think he was what on the live in the moment page really struck you as a live in the moment kind of thing?
Well, it seemed to be more sensual, touching, feeling.
He definitely
moving.
was that. I mean, was he willing to go along with me? But then did he just suddenly go with his own flow?
He went with his own flow.
So he would do what I wanted for a bit, and then he would just go off and go with his own flow. I mean, not really hanging on with me, doing his own thing in that moment. So highly variable as about how much he was connected to me and how much he was off doing his own sensory motor activity. Yeah. Anybody else pick up on anything?
What about may like to do things that are familiar? He knew how to back in the, excuse me, how? He knew how to unscrew that jar. And he seems maybe a little bit small for knowing how to do that.
Perhaps he clearly was into that fine motor, sort of just flipping that jar open. So it didn't have anything to do with what we were doing. But as I said, do you want to take the lid off?
Just how to do that.
Yeah, and then he was trying to figure out what he was going to do with that lid. I mean, but then he would just shift it off to the side. I mean, he wasn't committed to it, but it was like you put a lid on something. So where did he put it on something that, it didn't actually fit?
Wanted to make it part of the game.
Yeah, so he put it on top of the rice that was now in the sock. I mean, he's putting it on top of that container, like it goes on top. So still interested in that. And then what did we notice he was doing? It happened again, Lynn, so that was a good pickup. What did he do with the rice after we did the rice the first time?
Oh, wanted to repeat the activity, sock or no sock.
Putting the rice in something. So he was back to that. The thing about the sock was he's interested in the sock part. But did he want to take it with him at the end?
Yes.
Got something. So this is where we use those. So now let's look at what did I do on the bottom part of those pages? What did I do that built my relationship with my how person? Well, let's look at the bottom part of it. How did I do? Okay, kiss up now.
It's Barbara.
Yeah, Barbara.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
You were flexible with the schedule. Let's say you didn't, you weren't pushy up, and so he was okay with that. And then you gave him the time to do the things.
Yeah.
So he didn't get antsy or anything.
Yeah. So this is a guy who's really flexible, and there needed to be time. So I wanted him to finish tying the sock, but what did he need to do first?
Keep putting the rice in.
He finished this rice thing until I went, ooh, look. And what did I actually have to do in order for him to give up the rice? You got it, Sharon. I give him the sock. I exchanged. Here, do you want to take this with you? Yeah. So he had it in his hand. So he had something. So yeah. Now, if we go to the how, what did I do in the how versus why? You look at those two variables. Did I treat him like a why person or treat him like a how person?
Like a how person? Because you gave him instructions, you demonstrated for him.
Yeah. And it was sort of familiar, but sort of different. And, he got plenty of time. But over here in the why, what did I start off with? That middle question there.
You asked him to help you.
Would you help me? Because typically, I must tell you, this kid that I was working with is not that flexible. He is not necessarily going to come and be with me unless I can come up with a reason for him to do that. You want to know why he wanted to do it? Are you curious? Because the other two boys were supposed to do it. Benji wasn't supposed to do it. Braden wasn't supposed to do it. So because he wasn't on the laundry list for doing it, guess what? He actually turned out to be first up because that was not my plan. I did not plan on him being that. So now let's translate this a little bit because I was working with a small child. Could I be working with somebody that I've heard that they're more of a how person than a why person? Let's say somebody tells me, oh, my husband really loves lists. He's this. I could ask ahead of time. And then I know I'm going to spend time with somebody. What might I go ahead and do if I wasn't exactly sure what I should do before I actually get in that situation? Especially if I'm a big why person. What do you think I better do before I actually start that interaction?
Find out what type of person they are and what their personality trait is.
Yeah. And then on page 22, okay, so I've got to do things step by step. And I've got to start with something that might be familiar. And I've got to helping them or showing them. So I've got to help them by maybe demonstrating or show them by demonstrating, but don't spend a lot of time talking about what we're going to do or giving instructions without doing it. Because what's going to happen is they're going to go ahead and, because of the second piece was live in the moment. Oh boy. So what did I have? I said Braden wasn't even on my list. So what did I have to be willing to do, even though, because I wasn't planning on Braden, because he's only 2.5. And I was actually planning on the older boys.
Well, you had to take into consideration what his skills are for his age.
Yeah. So I had things sitting out there I might not have put out there if I was actually just going to work with Braden. But the reality is I didn't realize I was going to work with Braden. So when he came, it was like, oh dear. Okay. Well, what do I also have to be willing to do after we're done?
To be okay with the result.
Yeah, especially cleaning up all the rice that didn't quite make it into the sock or into the cup so it was like, oh, okay. Well, yeah, what are you going to do? So that idea of what I chose to do. So from what you watched of me, what would you say I am? And if you were going to now work with me, if we were to look at those two characteristics. Can you tell what I am?
You're a flexible person because you went with the moment and what you had to work with. And
I was certainly able to do that in that moment. Yeah. So you might think I was really flexible.
It's almost like we gained more information on you in how you talked about it rather than what we saw you so skillfully doing.
Oh, so it could be a little tricky here because some people can dial it up when they're going to do something, but that doesn't mean that's their core self. And so I present myself as someone who's really all of this stuff. But in the reality, that might have really used up a lot of my resources. So what might happen by the time I get to the third kid? Or the 5th time we're in the bathroom, or the 7th time that somebody decides they're going to try to make coffee and they are a how person and they just get going and they might be missing steps in doing something.
you might begin to lose your patience.
I might really need to pull out that section on self-awareness and realize, ooh, Teepa. This is really getting on your last nerve. Oh, let's take a deep breath here. Let's figure out what we're going to do. You know what? Let's go to Starbucks. Which says I opt for a totally different environment, a totally different task, and I will deal with this when I am in a better place. Because if I stay here and try to do this thing that might not be within my capacity right now, I am going to, if we want to go back and look at, let's take a peek back at page, hang on, let me get to it because I had it ready to come up, but I have to go to the next. Here we go. Oh, Christine, I know you know where it is. Where's what I show? And I know it's here. It's right here. There it is. Wait. I'm getting it. Oh, page 15. And page 14. What am I creating for myself by saying, let's go to Starbucks? Look at the top of the page.
Wiggle room.
Wiggle room. I need some wiggle room here. I'm going to need a little wiggle room. Okay. So now let's go over expressing me, because if I'm not careful, when I get stressed, what will I start doing? So you decided to make coffee again. I wish you had asked me before you got started. Remember, we've talked about.
You will be carting them.
Doing that thing that I know better than to do. And it's like, why aren't you a plan ahead person? And it's like, well, because they aren't. I mean, they're a live in the moment person. And I know that. And in that moment, I'm really communicating something that's really not what I want to communicate, but it's what I'm communicating because I didn't give myself some wiggle room. Dealing with the interaction right now is just not where I need to go. So, wonder if I could secure the coffee so that there's a missing piece. And the person says, where's the coffee? And I go, oh, God, you're looking for the coffee. Hang on. I think I might have it somewhere. Okay. What do you think would happen if I left the rice out and the cups out and the socks out with Braden, even though we were off doing something else and he ran across them later in the day? Yes. So what I need to do is consider the environment and realize, oh man, not a good plan. Not a good plan. All right. So we're going to pick somebody else. So I want you to meet another small child. I picked kids because they were available. Like I said, let's take a look at this one. Okay. Here's our next one up. That one's leaving. You go see if someone else will come and play. Thanks. Watch her behavior as she's trying to. All right, I have Benji. Hey, Benji, come sit over here if you would. And be careful of the wires and such. There you go. Perfect. Cool. So, Benji, I could use your help. Okay. So, I want to make rice sauce. Okay. So, what we're going to do is we're going to do a project.
Okay.
All right. So I need you to get a sock.
Okay, got one.
Got one. And I want you to put the sock down in the cup. At the bottom first. Yep. Put it all the way in. Push it down in. Push it down in. Push it down in. Okay. All right. Now what we're going to do is pull that apart and see if you can make it go over the outside edge of the cup. And I'll help if you need help. So see if you can pull it. Okay, now I'll hold this side. Try to pull it over the other way. There you go. There you go. Good. You're pulling it. You got it. You got it. You got it. Yeah. Okay. Now pull it down on the outside like that. See if you can pull it down. Like use your hand like this. That's it. Good. You got it. Nice job. Okay. Now when you get a little bit more, I think. Okay. Now feel down in there and see if you're almost all the way to the bottom of the song.
We're all the way down.
Are we all the way down? Okay. Perfect. All right. So we're going to leave it like that. Just like that. That's okay. I think we're okay. We're okay. All right. Now what we're going to do, he found the rice that Braden dropped all over the tabletop and was pointing it out. There's rice on the tabletop. Mm-hmm. Is we're going to put some rice in here. Now, what do you think we might do with the rice now?
Let's put it in one of these cups.
Put it in a cup. Okay. All right. So,
Actually, I want to do it.
Oh, you want to scoop it with that? Okay. Now, what do you think we're going to do with the rice now?
Just put it in, then scoop it.
Okay. Oh, look at that. You got that going on. Okay. All right. You want to do one more scoop?
And then I'll do some more.
Okay. Well, okay. So, okay. So you've got a little bit left in the bottom. I'm not sure you'll be able to get it out. What's another way you could do it? Can you think of another way you could possibly do it? Oh, good idea. All right. Excellent. All right. Now we get to the next part. What do you think the next part's going to be?
Take it off.
Take it off. Okay, let's see how you're going to do that. Oh, nice job. Now, hold it up. Let's see what you got in the bottom. What's in the bottom there? What do you got down there?
It's right.
Okay, so we want to close it off so it doesn't fall out.
Let's make a tie on it so it doesn't.
Let's make a tie on it. How about if we try something different? Could we try something different? Hey, E, you're up next. Okay, tell you what. Pull that. What does that make?
A tie.
Yeah. So now what have you got?
A tie.
Guess what we'll be able to do? Are you ready for this? Watch. If we put the bowl over here. Hey, E, could you set the bowl over there? This bowl? Can you set it over on the floor? Okay, perfect.
Here?
All right, now move out of the way because I want to. Okay, now what we can do is we can sling it. Oh, I missed. All right, so now we have a game. E, I could. Okay, so I'll pause. So what happened this time for the, I mean, was there some different, were there differences between these two kids? What'd you pick up on? How, why, more of a in the moment, plan ahead kind of person? What do we got?
Dennis is thinking of how.
He definitely had some how, but I've got an idea. This is good. I'll do this. So who does that sort of, something different? All right, we're switching gears. Let me I'll try this. I've never done it, but maybe this will work. I suggested the cup, and what did he decide? He was going to do the plastic jar. So he suggested a tie, and I suggested we tie a knot, and he called it a tie. So although he lives in the moment, he's a little more plan ahead than his brother. He's definitely what comes next, what comes next, what comes next.
Why?
So he's that guy that likes to know what comes next. And he's also a little more on the why side. This is why he does it. He'll tell you why he does stuff. This is why. This is why you need to do this. This is why. So he's a little more, I have to use a little more language with him and give him a little more reason and rationale. Oh, that's a good idea. And I have to allow that flexibility on his side because he needs that. He wants to be the boss of it a little bit more.
So Teepa, maybe we're thinking, and when we see things like you allowed him to discover and figure it out, we interpret that as in the moment when it was actually him figuring out the why.
Because that's what, and remember how he took the bowl and he went, oh, wait. And he could figure out that's how he could get the last part out. So he's figuring things out, and he's sort of a discoverer, and why people can look like they're in the moment, but actually their brains are figuring out the puzzle, and they get their cha-ching. Now, when they get their cha-ching, they make a decision pretty quick and they act on it. And then they initiate and they sequence and they finish, and then they're ready to move on to something else. So they are not going to be the ones who want to necessarily repeat something over and over the same way. After they've done it a couple times, it's like, what else could I do with it? What else could be done? Because you got to be more creative. Except, as opposed to just do it the way you've been doing it. You get good socks that way, So let's pause here and let's flip forward in the book, because we have a new section. So there's another section to look at. So hopefully you noticed I did a little bit of, I did some similar things, but I also did some different things based on who I was working with on those two different scenarios. Now we're going to move forward in the book. Let me do a share screen here. And we're going to go to the gems area. And we're going to take a peek here. Let me share there we go. Oh, well, just so you know, you can observe someone doing a task. So one of the ways I use the book is to actually observe somebody and notice their responses and reactions, and notice what kind of balance I need to provide so that we have good interactions. So that's how I might be using this book. Like, what would help me make sure this is going to work well? So let's go forward into gem states and recognize, I'm really looking at someone else. What are their abilities? That's what I'm going to try to figure out. And what we're going to look at is emerald, amber, ruby. And the first thing we're going to look at are things like hand function, eye-hand activity, language, problem solving, initiation, sequencing, termination, transition, and self-awareness. Now, to do that, we're going to be looking at pages 58, and you may want to put a thing there. 58, 66, and then 74, because it's emerald, amber, and then ruby. All right. So now I'm going to give you one more video to observe, and then we can do a little back and forth between the three videos. So I'll stop my share and I will go get the picture that I'm looking for, the one that I'm looking for. So here's my third partner. His name is Everett, but he gets called E by the boys. So he's called E. So here we go. Use your help to do one more. Will you come over and trade out? Let Benji get out. You come in. Because I'm going to have you do a sock. Okay. Can you swing around? Swinging around. Good job. Woo-hoo. All right, here we go. Woo-hoo. All right, I'm going to put some rice in here. And you're going to get to make a rice sock as well. All right, now, here's the deal. We have to get a sock. Here's your sock. And you're going to stuff it down in that blue cup. So you're just going to put the sock in the blue cup. Okay. There you go. Perfect. Push it all the way down in. Okay, so we'll keep the top of the sock. Okay, now here's what we're going to do with the top of the sock. Hold on with your fingers like I'm holding on. Benji, stay over that way. Okay, thanks. Okay, now hold on to the edges because we got to put it over the edge. There you go. Take that edge. Now, why did I say Benji, stay over that way? Okay. Anybody have a hint of why I would have done that? Very practical reason.
Distracting.
Nope. He was going to. Go ahead.
He wanted to help. Is some comments in the chat?
Yeah. He was going to stand in front of the camera.
Oh.
he was moving to get right in front of where the camera was. And so it was like, oh, Benji, over there. Because it was like, yeah, no, I don't need you to be in front of the camera. Please don't get in front of the camera. Because there was nobody else running the camera. I just had a little camera set up, and it was at kid level. And so it was like, I can't really have you there. Did you see me actually look up and look over there? Let me show it to you again. I'll back it up a tiny bit so you can sort of see what I was doing. Okay, there you go. Perfect. Push it all the way down in. Okay, so we'll keep the top of the sock. Okay, now here's what we're going to do with the top of the sock. Hold on with your fingers like I'm holding on. Benji, stay over that way, okay? So what'd you notice now that you know to look for it? What did I have? What am I using?
Eyes.
I used my peripheral vision. I saw motion coming and I recognized motion. Wait. And then you saw me glance. I noticed it was Benji and I said, Benji, stay over here. Did I pause what I was doing with E? Wow. Pretty good, huh?
You even gave him a visual cue with your head.
Right.
Without even moving your hands away. Your eyes never even caught up to his body.
No, it was like, that's not going to work. So that ability to, and this is where we might say multitask, but it's actually A1, B2, 3C. It's that ability to go from one thing to another and then go back to that first thing. And it means my brain took in peripheral data, gave me a message, you need to check it out. It's moving and it's moving into your range. I glanced enough to see what it was. Then I informed my prefrontal, and my prefrontal went, ooh, and it turned on the signal that sent a message to my temporal lobe that said, and then I did facial recognition software, but not really. I mean, I'm just counting on, I think that's who it is. It's tall enough. General information. Benji, over there. Please, I think. Maybe I said please. I don't remember whether I did or not. Did I say please? I don't think so. I think it was a directive.
There was a thank you at the end.
I think I said thank you. You have to get a sock. Let's see. Here's your sock. And you're going to stuff it down in that blue cup. So you're just going to put the sock in the blue cup. Okay. There you go. Perfect. Push it all the way down in. Okay, so we'll keep the top of the sock. Okay, now here's what we're going to do with the top of the sock. Hold on with your fingers like I'm holding on. Benji, stay. No, please. Benji, stay over there. Stay over that way. Okay, thanks. Okay, thanks. Thanks. All right, now what do you see in my face? Let's talk about what I'm expressing here. Let's go back to page 15. What do you see? In my face? What would you call that?
I see stiff lips.
Yep.
Look pretty focused to me.
At this point, I am done with this broad view and I am very binocular. Why might you've watched me work with two other children with fine motor? Why might I be binocular in this moment? What have you noticed about E's hand function compared to the other two?
Yeah.
You're already giving him assistance. You're already filling in gaps here. You're not sure what he can do, or maybe you are sure what he can't do.
I'm concerned about his willingness to stay engaged if he doesn't feel
Success?
right away. If he doesn't feel successful right away, he'll give up. So one of my tricks is sort of like being helpful, but not, I have to do what with my hands so he feels like he's doing it.
Support.
Yeah, I've got to get him there. So you'll see me really focusing on how can I get my fingers in a way that it doesn't look like I'm doing a lot, but I'm actually doing a lot, so he can get his fingers to get the sock around the edge. Because unlike Braden, did Braden care whether I helped him with putting the sock around the edge of the cup? No. Was Benji okay with it? I mean, he was fine. I mean, he's okay with it. What was E more interested in doing?
Playing with the rice.
Playing with the rice. So getting him engaged in the next step of the process, I had to really make sure this was going to be successful to him. And what else did you see E doing with his tongue as he was doing his hand in the rice? Ooh.
He did a lot of sensory himself.
He's doing a lot of sensory stuff, a lot of sort of fine sensory stuff there. Yeah. Okay, now hold on to the edges because we got to put it over the edge. So what did he do when he didn't get it right away? Back to the rice. So again, what I'm doing is he's pulling it out, but I'm actually doing the majority of it. There you go. Take that edge. Perfect. Nice. And pull down. And we're going to pull down some more. So take your hands and pull down like that. Yeah. Keep going. Yeah, keep going. You got it. Good. Keep going. What do you see coming out of his mouth again? Anytime he's doing something that's sensory rich, he gets into the oral piece of it too. And is he really, now who's really focused? Is he thinking about rice right this minute? Absolutely not. Going. Almost. All right. I think that's good. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we are going to scoop up some, and you can use this one or this one. Which one do you want to use? That one? Okay. And now put it in. Perfect. Okay. What do you think? A little bit more?
Wonder why the other hand is closed.
Okay.
Or was closed.
No, that's a really good, you're absolutely right, Lynn. So as kids are starting to do this with one hand, what happens when you first start to use one hand, the other hand will close because it's called overflow. The more I'm trying to hold on to that cup, in this case, he's holding on to the jar. He's holding against gravity and then he's tipping it. What ends up happening, the other hand autonomically closes in order to give him the most power in this sort of action. Yeah.
So it doesn't support the other cup or anything.
It just closes down. This being able to support the other cup is a more mature hand and arm and finger function. Because this is called a bilateral but unilateral task. So I'm using both hands, but each hand is used uniquely for a task, as opposed to both hands being used for the same task. So holding a jar and turning the lid requires a bilateral, unilateral function.
Which your little guy has at age 2.5.
Which Braden has at 2.5, because he copies, he likes to figure out how things work. Okay, so we could finish off. There's one. All right. All right. Woo-hoo. All right.
I push it down.
You're going to push it down. Now, here, you can set that down. Okay, now what you're going to do is pull this back up. Pull it up. Pull it up. Keep pulling. You have to pull it hard. Okay, do it some more. Do it some more. All right, good. Okay, now keep pushing. Pull it up. Pull it up some more. Pull it up some more. Pull it up some more. Yes. Now that was what kind of hand function?
Bilateral.
bilateral. So he's doing the same thing with both hands. And because it's the both thing with both hands, same thing with both hands, he's good to do it. Okay, now let's see.
I made a tie.
You did it.
Now let's see if I can throw it in.
Well, we have to do one more thing, because if we throw it in there now, is there anything to keep the rice in the sock? What would happen if I turned the sock upside down? What do you think would happen?
And it'll fall out.
Oh, no. So what we can do is, if I wrap my hand around, if you pull on that end, cha-ching, now you've got a throwing sock.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Thanks for your help. Maybe over that way. Step around. Oh, okay. All right. So if we look at gem states, what have we got in front of us? So give me what your best guess, when you looked at those 3 pages that I gave you, what things to notice. What did you notice about, let's say, Braden? What of all the gem states, what did you see a lot of in Braden?
You know, he needed guidance to know what was next. But once you gave it to him, he got it each time.
Is he more curious than cautious? Hence rice all over the place?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Who else was that way?
E.
Well, we'll just throw the sock. I mean, totally not cautious. Did he explore things with his fingers? Is he really skillful necessarily with his fingers?
Oh.
Did you see the same level of bilateral skill in the hands that you saw Braden displaying? No, but he has a lot of amber tendencies. If you were to look down at Ruby, if you look forward into the Ruby, is he more Ruby or is he more amber?
Well, the whole hand is in Ruby. The whole hand.
Yep. Has strength, not necessarily a lot of skill. Yeah. Can he respond to social chit chat?
The rhythmic sounds, like when you made the sounds, he actually did a better job. So I think kind of the sounds of the rhythm and the repetition, once he finally got it, it was like, oh, and then he wanted to keep doing it and he didn't want to move to the next thing.
Yeah. So when he touched the rice, was it sort of exploring it and feeling it, or was it manipulating it? With Braden, what did he do with it?
Little. Picking it up, putting it in.
He was picking it up and manipulating it. Yeah, so we see some ruby tendencies, some amber tendencies. What about the emerald tendency? Who did we see that was more emerald-like, if anybody?
Benji was pretty focused on what you were doing and engaged.
Did Benji think he knew what the next step was? So, like, you need a tie. Did he have all the details of how you would get a tie or how you would do a tie? No, but he knew it needed to be tied. And then when he got it, it was like, it's tied. It's a tie. It's a knot, but no, that's no.
Says he was able and independent. He felt like he knew what needed to be done.
You got it.
He could move on.
Yeah. So then if we were to look at what can I do to help? If you look at some of the things that we have over on that side of the page, did you notice, did I sit on the dominant side?
think so.
Yeah, you think so? You would need more information because all these kids are so young that they are just developing dominance. It will be firmly established by age 6 at the latest in general. There will be a dominance, and you can watch which hand was the more skillful hand on the part of the kids, which one if they did a unilateral, if they were more successful at doing something, they will have greater success with skill development on their dominant side initially.
Hey, Tipo, did you notice if E was potentially left-handed?
Well, now that's an interesting thing, isn't it? So E has not gotten a declared dominance yet. He messes with this one and then he'll mess with that one. He does keep his right a little more closed at times when he does things with his left. So, we'll see, but certainly he has potential. So we've done all these things with kids. Now, the last thing I would point out is not only do we have what I can do with help, then we have some other activities. We have some suggestions. So for Benji, I might try simple activities with purpose. And we could do them together because he'd probably be good with that. So emptying out and organizing drawers. What would happen if I tried emptying out and organizing drawers with Braden? I'll invite you to do that.
The emptying out, I think, would be fun.
He'd be great with emptying out, as long as I don't care where it goes. Now, on the other hand, let's look at page 68 for getting connected. What are some things that we could do over there? What do you think? Any of the things on here seem like they would probably work with Braden or E? Yeah. So you may have come to this workshop thinking we would spend a lot of time talking about dementia. And what we came to the workshop to really talk about is brains and how brains, when you put them with other brains, and bodies, when you put them with other bodies, really, if we want to be effective in relationships, we've got to figure these pieces out. How is it that we're going to use what we are able to do and this resource maybe to help us be more successful? Because, okay, let's say that session I had with the boys, I'm now going to take all 3 boys and go do something. What have I created with them that we could now do that all 3 of them might enjoy? And I gave you a hint with the red bucket.
A sandcastle.
Oh, we could build a sandcastle? Yeah, maybe. What could I do with those rice socks that we got?
You could throw them at targets.
We can throw them at targets. We could get a hula hoop. We could go outside. They could really toss them. What we could also do is pass them around and catch them, because one of the nice things about a rice sock is it's pretty forgiving, because if you catch any part of it, you can trap it. And then you would be able to hold on to it, and then we might be able to sling it. We can also try some movements, some gross motor movements. And as long as I have them well controlled and separated, you got to watch your spacing. But what we can do is burn off some fuel, some energy, and have fun with it, because now we're going to do a gross motor activity after this fine motor, sensory motor activity. And so we're transitioning from one thing to another. Then we could come back to a tabletop for a fine motor activity of consuming nourishment and hydration, or going to the bathroom and participating, because that's another transition point. So I'm going to pause here because we're down to 5 minutes. And I'm curious, number one, what from what we did today was helpful to you in thinking about using this relationship guide, or working with somebody whose brain, whether it's a child or an adult or a friend or a spouse, or just somebody what did you figure out about this book, this resource, and maybe the video, between those 2 things? What was helpful to you? And maybe our time together, I don't know. What's your takeaway?
as people are talking or maybe hopefully putting something in the chat, my thought actually went to how I have a dog who still has a lot of energy and a joy for life, but she's actually becoming less and less mobile, and she's becoming almost fully blind. So why is she crying every day at 4 or 5 o'clock for 2 hours straight? My guess is she's bored. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at this truly as like, how can I get her engaged in short periods of time? Mm-hmm. I think she's gonna be less of a problem at 5 o'clock for me.
Yeah. So it's not like you're saying she needs to go out and do something for 2 hours. It's like these little windows of energy use so that by 5 o'clock, she's not exhausted just from being bored.
Yeah.
And then needy. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say a piece in here that we talked about today is the different personality types. And it continues to be interesting to me how to connect with different people and to have a mindset of what does this person need from me? If they are an introvert or an extrovert, what can I do to really establish and build a relationship with them? And this is super helpful to help me understand what they need if I'm not necessarily that personality type myself.
So if it's not you, then how could you use this resource to sort of see the other side of the coin so that maybe you might be more prepared to have an interaction with somebody who you recognize is different than you? Okay, cool. All right. And I noticed somebody mentioned it would be easier to see this with an adult. So given that you've said that, I'll give you a brief snip here. We might have just a few seconds. Let me sort of see if I can scratch that itch. Okay, let's take a look at this video and think Ruby Amber, and think what you know about me. Only imagine that I have developed dementia and I am in my Ruby Amber state.
Oh, hey. You're not supposed to leave your room. I'm sorry. Hey. Hello?
Yeah.
Back in your room. Gotta get back in your room.
Get back in your room.
Hello? Hello? No, we need you back in your room.
Don't you.
You need to get back.
You get out. Okay, so I'll pause there for a second. Thoughts, ideas. What you noticed. Okay, and now I'm going to immediately share a second video. In just a second. Here we go.
Tipa!
Hey!
Hey!
Hey, baby!
Hey, baby!
Hey!
Hey, baby!
Yeah.
Look.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
Hey, Tipa.
Yeah.
Let's go this way. Hey, Tipa.
Yeah, no, I don't.
You don't want to be okay. All right.
I'm not gonna go.
I got it. No,
okay.
no.
Yeah. Uh-oh. You get it?
Get it.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Tipa.
Huh. Oh, come on. Yeah.
You got it.
I got it.
You got it, don't you?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
What'd you think?
Yeah. Oh. Oh, that'd be good.
Was it Tipa? What made the difference? What choices somebody else made? Tipa was Tipa. So what ended up happening looked dramatically different. But in fact, it truly was, could you help me? Benji, come here. Oh, hey, Braden. It's really seeing the other human you want to engage with as having value, as being present, as being a opportunity. I mean, it is so really about, do we have the ability to be that support in a relationship? Because in that one, boy, the relationship sure went south fast. So we could do kids, we could do adults, we could do dogs for that matter. But frankly, what we're really talking about is, do I recognize my role in a relationship? And do I recognize the other person's role in the relationship? And do I figure out whether I can do this right now or I might need support? Because it wasn't like Matthew wasn't trying. He just didn't know quite what to do because his anxiety kicked in when he could not figure me out. What he missed is, I'm really not a people person in that sense. I like stuff. And what ended up happening? Melanie showed me the stuff. Even though she greeted me, it was just a greet to get connected to stuff. And when I did stuff with stuff, she didn't try to correct me or no, that's not what you do. She went with that flow and supported me. And then she got me to, when I said no, she went, okay, there we go. We're not going back in that room. I hear you. Got it. So I hope this session was helpful to you. I hope I got you thinking a little bit more about this idea of how we could use a relationship guide to guide us, guide relationships and interactions. And at the end, one of the last pages is what relationships are easy for you on page 88 and which ones are difficult and what's one thing you want to try differently. So, all right, everyone. Thank you for your time and the work that you do. Thank you for being curious enough to come, and thank you for all that we can do when we choose. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tifa.
You're welcome. Thanks, everyone, for being here.